Okay. I I shouldn't say. Man, I gotta pick my words carefully. The first word that came to me dealing with this ever since I was a little boy. So I'll just share the truth of how this happens and how it works when you're hypersensitive. Hypersensitivity is like a hyper empath in non-physical form, which is light spirit body, the purest of light and the purest of spirit as an oversoul, polarity integrator. Some androgynous. So what does androgynous mean? It means that the magnets, the hot and the cold magnet, become one. That's a blast furnace. So when you're experiencing an eternal star, that's prephase. Nothing's happened yet. So you're not experiencing any sex, you're not experiencing any gender. Nothing's happened yet. The speed is just too fast. That's the ISO frame rate speed, right? So when you're in a healing center and you realize the importance of the still point, buoyancy, right? The still point and liquid light consciousness, okay? I realized that, for example, I've met this young lady who lives in New Orleans, right? And I don't remember. I don't friend people anymore. I have very, very few left in my window that I communicate with. Most of that obviously has to do with time and energy and what we spend our time and energy doing, right? But I was reminded, for example, of this lady when I saw her. I believe she friended me, and she's a young woman who lives in New Orleans. And there was something that caught my eye, which was her eyes, which is the windows into a girl's soul. Okay? So I realized when I experience something like that, it's not a coincidence that you meet somebody like that, even if it's in an online environment. Eyes to eyes, soul to soul. There has to be some reason that I experience something like that, and I'm not sure what it is, but I know one thing. It's got to have something to do with healing. Or I wouldn't have experienced that, because we all know why we're here. And so I was reminded of what happened when I was not just with Misha. For those that ever caught the story of Misha, when she said, I met her eyes to eyes. Okay? She wanted that energy bad. Okay? Because she wanted to heal. And she was wanting to, if you will, be a spiritual partner. Okay? What in Hawaiian or Lemurian language, I am known as a kapuna. Kapuna. Right? Which is known as a spiritual elder, a teacher. Because what she was wanting to do was clear the miasma, her shadow body. That's the truth of it. So when she's experiencing the purity of the love in my heart, she's experiencing that in her heart. So she knows that she's healing by being in the presence of that energy. So you know that when you're in person, eyes to eyes, soul to soul, light to light, spirit to spirit, it is a lot more powerful to feel that energy when you're that close, eyes to eyes. So now we get into the intimacy side of things. And I always had a question when I was a child growing up, when I would ask a girl or even ask a boy when you want to have an intimate friendship, how deep do you want to go? How deep can you go into your heart? How deep can you experience being loved by the one, which is eternal, absolute love, which is the internal spirit of fire? Okay? This girl lit me on fire. You see how that works? An image lights you on fire. That's the magic of fire that heals us. That's right. Because fire is a purifier. So now I was thinking, because I've done this before, because I did this with Misha, I'm going to write this girl a love letter. And Mama knows this. When I write love letters, I'm writing a love letter to the cosmos because we're connected to the all creation, which means there isn't any separation between what you are and what I am. I'm giving love to. So girls that I grew up with that I had relationships with, because when they see me in their mirror, they see a boy, a male, Silver X, X-Men, right? I call them, I have fun with this and say Geek Squad, Geek Tech, right? And then you have the gold standard or the higher octave. So at the end of the day, we're playing music. The music, right? The music we love, right? So I realize that there is some, when you're a super empath, I will just share this truth. I know this girl's heart. I felt her heart. I mean, you'd say, yeah, well, she's in New Orleans and I'm in Hawaii. It doesn't matter. This girl's got a pure heart on her. But I also know she needs healing because I could detect it. And this is, I've shared this many times before about detectors, motion detectors, sensor, how sensitive are we, right? Sense of smell, sense of touch, sense of hearing, right? Just like dogs, they're smelling the frequencies. The signals intelligence. So when you're a hyper cosmic level avatar, I feel everything. And when you're able to feel things on a planetary level, it means it doesn't matter where you are. I can read the map, which means I'm reading the temple that you're running. And what am I measuring? Shadow body. Or if you will, what we call resistance. The resistance is based on a capacitor on a motherboard, which is your ability to experience more light and expand what it is that we're giving love to. Right? To greater and greater, what? Living life forms that are in our mirror. Remember, everything that you are is what I am, I'm giving love to. So that means everything that's in my mirror, from the smallest microorganism to the smallest particle of energy that's conscious and aware of itself, to the largest. So when you're running hypersensitive sensors, I can read your heart and soul because that's what a polarity integrator does, is restore the fragments, pull everything into the one, right? So everyone is experiencing being one with all creation, because that's what the truth is. So it began with the one, the Son of God, the eternal Son of God, the Christic spiral, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes, you know. But what happens is that when I have experiences like this is how powerful the magic is with the spirit of fire. I don't have my empty binders. Usually when I have an experience with this, by simply looking at an image, somebody's eyes, and this is a real person that I've connected with, all of a sudden my energy just wants to be released. Man, it's just like release all that magic, release all that fire, release all that love. And what usually happens, what I do before to release it, is I'll have a stack of empty binders, you know, the spiral binders with a couple hundred pages in it, and I just start writing, get it all out, get it all out, get it all out. And then I would leave that binder for somebody else. Like I handed all my binders to Chris Nadeau. Remember who Chris Nadeau is? He's another AB guy. I made a fire intersection and my fire engine ran into his fire engine. And in Grants Pass, Oregon, in a gospel mission. Right? And so he, when him and I met and realized, hey, we're family. Yeah. We began to have a really beautiful relationship with each other. He's androgynous, highly creative, right? And grew up in New York, Brooklyn, and he jumped into the political arena. He, as a matter of fact, developed one of the largest Alzheimer's centers in the city of New York. So he's he's gotten cozy with all these folks and with all the power, the political power in New York City. And so, like me and like Karen, our children disappeared. You know why that is, right? the DNA. And so this is where I start wanting to write. Just let it all out. Just let it all out. Just let it. The compression and expansion of fire, the eternal spirit of fire. When you're experiencing your light spirit body, it's on fire, right? So this is going to be interesting. This is beautiful. This is the power and the magic of what love is. Love is the most powerful magic because that's the most powerful spirit of fire, and that's what purifies our light, purifies our heart. That's what a pure heart is. Pure love is a pure heart. So when you're experiencing being in the presence of somebody with a pure heart, and you're seeking and you're experiencing a pure heart, right? Now you're feeling more comfortable, right, to release that which you were holding, being held captive by, which is the shadow body. When you're letting go of those things that don't serve us, by virtue of those things that don't serve us, to do what? Generate trauma or trigger what's held in cellular memory, cellular water world planetary memory, what we've all experienced being connected to each other through cells, living cell membranes. So this is, I've mentioned this many times before, it's not just your individual anatomy of a shadow body, but the shadow body of the planet, the shadow body of a galaxy, the shadow body of an entire universal galactic template. Because we're all connected, right, through cells. Have a great day. Be good to yourselves. We love you all.